Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to share with you a 10-second mental trick that will cure your negative thinking. And I know this sounds all obnoxious and clickbaity, but I can assure you that this really works. And not only does it work, but it works instantly. So from the first time you're doing it, it's not like meditation where you have to meditate for a month before you start to see the benefits. No, you're gonna see the benefit right from your first try. Okay? But before telling you what this exercise is, how it works, and also how you can supercharge it, because there is a way to put this thing on steroids, okay? Before that, I want you to know that this is coming from a professional pessimist, okay? Ever since I was little, I kind of had this inferiority complex. I would assume that everyone else is just better than me. And I would certainly find reasons to believe so. And so I just had a lot of negative thoughts throughout my life. I was flooded with them, and they did me a lot of bad stuff because it affected me in social situations. These negative thoughts affected me with my friends, with girls, at school, and so on and so forth, in pretty much any area you can possibly think of. And naturally, I wanted to get rid of those thoughts. I saw them as enemies. But what I realized recently is that the problem wasn't that I had negative thoughts, because you can't really stop that. You can't really say, okay, I'm not gonna have negative thoughts from today on, so that's gonna be it. No, you can't stop it. The real problem is in accepting the negative thoughts without wrestling with them, without debating or reasoning, just letting them come in and take shelter in your mind. That's the real problem. And you know, the reason why this is so bad is, as you probably already know, thoughts influence and impact emotion, and then emotion dictates action. So, for example, if let's say this happened a lot to me, okay, and let's say you're seeing a really pretty girl on the street and you really like her, you want to go talk to her, but because she's so pretty, you assume she's way out of your league. So instantly you start getting these feelings of disappointment. You start to feel inferior to her. I certainly did a lot of times, and you start to feel like you've been rejected even before you've tried. So how on earth are you gonna take action when you got all those feelings inside you? You're not gonna take action. You're gonna miss that opportunity. And it's precisely because you've let those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs come and poison your brain. So the real solution here isn't to try to not have negative thoughts, is to learn to reject them effectively before they can wreak havoc into your mind, okay? And so the way you do this, the 10-second mental trick that is going to reject negative thoughts before they enter your mind, and it's going to do so without you overthinking, without you having to convince yourself those thoughts aren't true, because this can be a very long process. You might never get to the end of it. But the mental trick is as follows. This is what I want you to do. So the next time you're gonna have a negative thought pop up in your mind, I want you to imagine that this thought is coming from an evil inner imposter that is trying to hurt you. So think of it like this little devil inside your body who's feeding you with these thoughts and trying to hurt you. It's trying to make you fail. It wants you to fail. Okay? And when you think this way, two very subtle things are happening at the same time. First of all, you get a reason to get angry at those negative thoughts. It's like you and your mind are teaming up together and throwing stones at that evil imposter, because that guy is trying to hurt you with those negative stuff throwing your way, those negative beliefs who he's trying to feed you. So you're getting angry at that. And at the same time, because you're teaming up with your mind and you're fighting against this evil imposter who has those negative thoughts, sending them your way, it inherently means that those negative beliefs aren't part of you, aren't part of your identity. Okay? So they're separate from you. You're the opposite of those thoughts. You're not insecure, you're not afraid. No, you're cool. And you're fighting against those thoughts. And so the great thing about this is it works instantly, like I said in the beginning. You separate yourself from the negative thoughts. You don't let them get passed into your mind and take shelter there and just poison every other process that goes on in your thinking mind. You just remain centered and unbothered, unaffected. Now, I did mention that you can supercharge this process, and The way I found this supercharging method is, I remember watching a podcast with Tony Robbins and a very old guy who was an expert in NLP. I think it stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming or Processing. I think it's programming. And I remember that guy, the old guy, saying that thought, of course, he said thoughts influence emotion, but he also said that when you use mental pictures around your thoughts, whether negative or positive, it's easier to control them. Okay? So, for example, he was talking about if you're having fears, if there's something that you're really afraid of, you create a mental picture of the thing you're afraid of, and then you put a little box surrounding that fear, and then you mentally shrink that box so it's tiny, and this way the fear is supposed to not feel as intense, and you're supposed to not be so afraid of that thing. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't tried that method, so I wouldn't be able to say if it works or not, but I have definitely tried this supercharging trick to this exercise, and it just works wonders. So, if you want to go to the next level with this imposter thing, imagine this. So imagine this floating city in the sky. And the city is all beautiful. Everything's great. People are happy. It's all sunny. Everything is wonderful there. And then, quite a big distance from the city, imagine a huge gate with a guardian, of course, and then a few clouds coming in at that gate. Right? And so the city is going to be your brain, not your brain, but your mind, which is amazing. Everything's going well in your mind. The gate is going to be or the guardian, I should say, is going to be your thinking mind, your consciousness, your conscious thought, which is deciding which thoughts are going through to your mind and which thoughts are rejected. And of course, the clouds are going to be your thoughts. They can be very white and fluffy and really cute clouds, which are the positive thoughts. We obviously want to let them come in, but there are going to be some negative, some black and stormy clouds as well. And so every time you get this negative thought in your mind, you're going to think it comes from the evil imposter inside, but you're also going to picture it as this black and ugly cloud, which wants to get in the city and wreak havoc. It wants to throw everything in the air like a tornado, all right? So if you manage to not only reject it conceptually, like we've talked in the basic version of the exercise, but also reject it visually, like imagine that guardian, you're thinking mind saying, stop, you shall not pass. And then you're visually seeing that negative cloud going back from God knows where it came from. This is going to just enhance the effectiveness of the exercise. It's just going to seem way more convincing to both your conscious mind, but also to your subconscious. And the effects of the exercise are just going to be much greater. Okay, so I have tried both of these versions. Even the basic one works wonder. So I highly recommend you try it if you struggle with negative thinking, and because of that you miss opportunities that you could have gotten. Okay, if you just had a little bit more confidence. Definitely try this, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you notice some amazing results. But other than that, we're gonna see each other in the next video. Until next time.